Hello everyone, this is Charlotte and this is a podcast called Chatting in Cars. It's where I talk about random topics while I drive to work or run errands. There's a disclaimer at the start of this podcast because I do talk about sensitive topics, so if you don't want to hear about sensitive topics, I suggest turning off or finding something interesting to listen to, because I don't think my ramblings are that great some days. I also swear a considerable amount, which I'm not going to stop anytime soon. So if you don't want to hear a girl swearing or a boy swearing or anyone swearing, I suggest you change the channel. The topic for today is intuition. I'm hoping the lighting's not going to be that bad today because it's actually quite dreary. It's autumn now in Australia, so everything might be a bit darker than usual. Atmospheric. Yes, so intuition. Intuition refers to, in a divine sense, it's the messages maybe that... I love how people cross the road and stare at you while they do that. Sorry, is it arrogance or stupidity? It's the the energy being sent by the divine to give you guidance, as far as I see it. Yeah, as far as I see it. In an energetic sense. Some people might view it as a chemical reaction within your body that gives you a gut feeling, maybe. Anxiety is generally lined with following your intuition, or maybe you just feel really comfortable in your decisions and it feels right, so you kind of subconsciously know the right way to go, so you follow your intuition that way or your gut feeling that way. Sometimes it can be formed by sort of having an informed estimate or guess about what could happen. Either on conscious level or a subconscious level, your body sort of goes, all right, this feels like this is going to happen, so we're going to go with this. Sometimes we ignore our intuition, which is a bit silly. If you've got a gut feeling about something, chances are you might be right about it. I know that some people, I've got a predisposition for high generalized anxiety, given that I have PTS and a few other things going on up there. So my inclination towards not following my gut feeling is more inclined towards overthinking it. I might be wrong because of all these reasons. So you almost talk your way out of it. It's probably not a good thing to do, because sometimes you can actually talk your way out of, something really good, because you're too afraid to follow that inclination. On the upside, if you're an overthinker, maybe you've considered all the reasons why this wouldn't work. Also a safe bet, really. I've had experiences where I thought of a person that I might like to go out with, and in the sort of pumped up stage where you're thinking, oh, they might be a fabulous person, and I tend to put people on pedestals, so I'm sitting there thinking, the best of this person, that it could be great. And my feeling gets involved more than my logic does at that stage. So I'm sitting there thinking this person is this fabulous person. They've got all these warm, kind, great traits. Bus is just pulling out, that's fine. And then you go back and you look at the experience, like the behaviors of them, or you look at their lifestyle choices, and you start seeing the red flags. So whilst it's nice to live in that kind of carefree, this person's amazing, I put them on a pedestal and that kind of thing, when you actually, your gut feeling might be gnawing at you saying, look again, there's extra bits here that we're just not seeing, and you want to just brush those under the rug some days, because you don't want to see the potentially red flags in them. The potential red flags in them, I should say. I'm sorry, I've still got the flu and I'm just not all there. But your gut feeling says there's some shit here that I'm overlooking, that I need to really address and assess and align with my internals to see if I'm okay with this. I tend to brush that shit under the rug, as evident from my exes. But this time with this third person, I started looking at the red flags and I'm going, is this livable? And my gut feeling is going, that looks like a lot of hassle, dear. It's like, there's a lot of elements here, some of which I'm unfamiliar with, that I'm looking at and I'm going, I don't think I would be happy with this person. It just seems to go against logic at this point. You know, the kind of things where the job isn't reputable. In a case of, it's good that they are employed, for example, but it's the kind of employment you're sitting there looking at it going, like, all you have to do is financially sustain yourself. Okay, that's fine. I can live with that. But it's the way you get your money that bugs me. And whilst I can't control them, I can control my reaction to them, and I can say this person might not be a viable option just because of the way they get it. Like if you were dating a stripper or something, you'd be like, I'm glad that you got a job. The morality associated with this, no. Like, no. The circumstances in which they operate, like, no. If it was a guy and they were constantly surrounded by other girls that were slaggy girls, I'd be like, I'm not tolerating this shit. No. It's like, this guy is not on my level. And it sounds a bit arrogant, but at the same time, you've got to sit with yourself and say, am I worth, you know, would I feel comfortable with my partner being in these circumstances, working in these circumstances? And then you've got to consider other aspects like, are they still in touch with their exes? In what way are they still in touch with their exes? Would I be comfortable with this? And your gut feeling goes, what if they still have feelings for their exes and all this extra shit? And then that gets rekindled on an off chance spark, and you're like stuck here holding, you know, hopes but unlived, unrequited love for this person because they've gone back to an ex. And you sit there and think, I can't be bothered with that. Like, I'm not wasting my time and effort and energy and resources on the off chance that they might have been over their ex. You know, if their ex is still in the picture, it's like, what's the fucking point? You clearly haven't let go. I'm not leaving it open to risk at this point. And there's a lot, like, vast lifestyle changes as well. You sit there and think, I'm quite comfortable as I am right now. The gut feeling is saying, if I do this, there is a high risk with this particular lifestyle change that I could get screwed over. On a large scale financially. Like, I haven't got kids right now. I had 2 miscarriages. I had the chance for kids, but they didn't make it. If I date someone who has kids, I know for a fact that if I marry them or if I date them, I'm liable to have things like my income, you know, bartered against their wages in order to derive some kind of child support for their partner. So I have to, you know, like, I get involved financially with this shit that happened in the past that shouldn't really affect me because I didn't make that life choice. I didn't choose for those two to get together, have a kid, and then ditch. It's like, I didn't choose for that, but because I'm choosing to associate with this person who has a kid or several kids with this person, I somehow get roped into a web of their decisions from the past. It's like this is why we get deterred from, you know, hooking up with people that, you know, you don't consider the circumstances before you start dating them because you just want to be caught up in the romance of the situation. And then you look at the reality and your gut feeling goes, wait a minute, this is a bigger bet than we thought we were placing, so now we have to look at this reasonably. Is it going to be worth my time? Am I going to lose, you know, 40% of my fucking pay paying out child support for someone else's kid? It's like, I didn't have that kid. I shouldn't be associated with that kid. What is going on? Because I choose to date this person, I now have to pay for it. It doesn't make sense. But you love me, right? I would have to look into that a bit further. I mean, it sounds a bit cold at the same time, but, you know, my gut feeling tells me to be more logical this time and less romanticized about life circumstances, because I could seriously get fucked over by buying into the dream state of, it's so romantic, oh, we love each other, we're running off together and we're going to do all these things, and then you think, you look at the logic of the situation, you go, holy shit, wait a minute. I've got bogged down with someone else's kid and I'm paying a bill. It's like, wait a minute, this is not what I organized for, you know? So you got to realize your gut feeling about situations. I mean, I was caught in the romanticism about finally going out with this guy. Like, my ex-boyfriend was this guy who I had hooked up with when I'd broken up with my ex-husband. I only broke up with my ex-husband for about 6 months or so. It wasn't a long spout. I wasn't married to him at the time either. I was just dating him then. We'd broken up for 6 months. I had pursued... Actually, no, I'd gone to a house party with my now ex-boyfriend, and we had hooked up twice. And then he ditched, ghosted. Despite me trying to keep in contact, because I used to go to the same uni as him, and I used to... like, we were in similar social groups. I wasn't as deep in that social group as most of them were, but I was like, I knew of the social group, so... but I had sort of held a what-if candle for this dude whilst I'd been married. Not that I was actively pursuing him or I, like, loved him in that kind of way. It was more of a what-if I had pursued him instead of my ex-husband. So when I finally divorced my ex-husband, I was like, I'll see what this turns out like. I finally got a chance to date him. Now, at the start, I had romanticized this situation because I had this fucking candle. And the candle ignored my gut feeling and didn't actually reflect anything of the reality of the situation. I put him on a pedestal. I had had maybe 2 interactions with him. I didn't really know him. So I bought into this false ideal. When I started dating him, the gut feeling started really arcing up that shit wasn't right. Every couple of weeks, if not every couple of days before we started living together, that something wasn't right. My intuition started kicking in saying, this shit's not on the level. So, and I would periodically find things around his apartment when I came to visit on a Sunday, where I go, that's not right. Like 2 toothbrushes that were, actually there was like 3 open toothbrushes. There was an electric one and 2 ones in the shower. I'm sitting going, who else has been staying here? You know, sort of thing. And then there'd be like girl shower products, not shower products, but like bathroom products, like cotton pads and stuff in his bathroom. I'm going, whose stuff is this? And then he'd try and justify how he uses it, and I'm sitting there watching him how he uses it. I'm going, well, that's not how you use it. It's like, clearly you are not the person using this. There's someone else using this. I'm just not here when they're here. And it was all these little snippets of intuition telling me this shit's not right, man. And I kept brushing it under the rug trying to make this shit happen because I didn't want to believe this person didn't deserve the pedestal I put them on. I kept trying to give them extra chances, and it fucked up in the end because, you know, in the end there's only so much evidence you can brush under the rug before you get solid evidence of infidelity, and you go, why did I not listen to my gut feeling telling me this person was not the right one? It was odd how much I had deceived myself because I wanted to be right about, you know, and in the end I was fucking wrong anyway. My gut feeling was right, but my romanticized emotional side kept seeing the red flags and ignoring them. So I had to balance out my emotional side with my logical side and say, I may have these feelings. The feelings were gone by the time I stepped out the door. I'm like, this is fucked. But because he had shat on them that much, he just constantly dragged them down and stomped them, and just like, it was almost like he was subconsciously telling me, don't do it. And I'm like, I'm going to ignore you because I want to see you as a good person. But he kept, either consciously or self-consciously, through self-sabotage maybe, I don't know, but he kept showing me I'm not the one, and I ignored it because I didn't want to see it. In the end, logic won, and I went, fuck this, and walked out the door. And my gut feeling, I should have trusted, because I was having all kinds of shit, like dreams and stuff about him being like the energy was in the dream, but he wasn't there. It was like a constant, I'm here but I'm not here kind of feeling in dreams I was having, for example. I knew he was there as an energetic presence, but physically he wasn't there, and I never really saw him in the dreams as well. And I kept having these repeated dreams, and that's, you know, shit where you have recycled thematic dreams is often a sign from the divine that they're trying to tell you there's a story that you're not seeing. Ooh, 666. That's not the devil's number, by the way, if anyone's wondering. I'm looking at number plates. Signs. I've got to look into that one. But, you know, it was a case of, either my intuition or divine intervention or just logic in my brain saying this fucker's not in this. But I kept getting these signs, the intuition, the gut feeling, I kept brushing it under the rug, and in the end it snowballed into something that was more painful than it needed to be, and it killed any feeling I had for him. The candle that was lit in my early 20s had been stomped out by his own actions. I couldn't keep that candle alight for love nor money at that point. It was a joint effort of me trying to keep relighting it. You know those birthday candles you keep trying to relight, but the fuckers never light? With him constantly just pissing on it. So in the end, it was a wet week that we couldn't light together. So, you know, you pissed on it. How am I supposed to start a fire with this? You keep pissing on shit. It's a weird analogy. But I didn't follow my gut feeling, and I paid for it financially for a bit, which I recouped later as soon as I distanced myself from this bad experience and this bad, you know, shit scenario. Money I can replace. Emotional damage I don't. I can't. I have trouble healing shit like that, and I still hold on to anger, which is a design flaw maybe. It's based on trauma. So what I paid with was not money. I didn't care about the money. I can replace that easily in a week. It was the emotional and psychological damage that did the most damage. The anger and the reinforcement of trust issues. Or lack of trust issues. Which will sadly make it harder for the next guy. Because there's always these fuckwits that create these problems who still cannot take accountability for their actions. That make it bad for the rest of the guys. The genuine guys that just want the relationship, that want a nice person to look after them and stuff like that. But there's always one asshole that stands up and fucks it for them. So I don't know why guys will stand by and allow and enable and encourage this kind of fucking behavior, saying it's being a player. When in reality, it's fucking themselves by proxy, because no girl is going to want to interact with guys who associate with a fuckwit like that, who emulate behaviors like he's doing. You know, it's strange to me. And I'm the target. So it's like, if ever you wanted to take advice about guys or how to treat a girl, go to the actual source, ask a girl. It's like, do you guys like this? Or do you girls like this? It's like, well, actually, no. So why, you know what that's what I don't understand. These guys that look up to these fuckboy players and they want to be like them, but their target is the female. It's like, wouldn't you want to go to the target to see what the target actually likes, rather than, you know, second-hand knowledge from a fuckwit that's gonna age out of their profession? You know, it's like, that's dumb. Dumb. You know, it's strange. They're afraid of girls, ultimately. I think it is. I think they're afraid of girls. I think they're intimidated by girls, which is why they reference guys instead. He's just like us. Don't be like that one. It's a shit trick. You don't want to be like that one. You want a girl, go to a girl. It's like when girls go to other girls for advice about guys. It's like, don't go to a guy. So, if that's what you're aiming for, go and find out what it is from the source, the horse's mouth. Anyway, intuition, gut feeling. Gut feeling can get you out of a few scrapes. Sorry, I'm still coughing. It's really good for following your intuition. You'll get you out of a few scrapes. For example, I was looking at an apartment the other day. It wasn't until I did some further research that I found out it was tenanted. I could afford the apartment. It was great. I'm sitting there going, this is ideal. 2 bedrooms, nice. Good area, safe. Lock and key, so it's no problem if I want to go on holiday or anything like that. It's perfect. But it was tenanted until January next year, and I didn't do the research beforehand, and I called up the real estate person and I said, what's going on with this? My gut feeling was something's off, because there were glitches where I kept having trouble trying to get in contact with this real estate agent, or I kept having trouble getting to the sites, or it was like something was blocking, and I'm sitting there going, well, I'll pursue it only because I want to understand what the glitch is. Not that it's not possible, but I want to understand why it's glitching. And when it came down to it, because it was tenanted until January next year, if the owner who was selling it had tried to break the lease for the tenants, they could take him to the tribunal, where it would be an unfair eviction. So one of us, me or him, who owned the apartment at the time, possibly me, would have been faced with a big fucking bill, paying their rent, and any kind of liquidation fees for, liquidizing their tenancy. So I'm sitting there thinking, if I buy this now, I could be stuck with further bill, or these people could stay on till their lease runs out and I'd still be paying my rent plus a mortgage. So I'd be paying double just to have the off chance that this apartment might be available in January. So you've got to look at the devil in the details there. It's like, it's a case of, I'm not going to do that. If I try and push them out now, I get screwed because I have to pay out for them to find a new place and cover all their costs while they're looking for a new place and stuff like that. If I don't push them out now, I have to pay double rent, essentially. And I'm like, go fuck yourself, you can keep the apartment. So if you got a gut feeling about it, follow it. It's usually something's not quite up. If it's not your internal chemical situation telling you something's not up or something is up, then it's usually divine intervention going, not this fucking one. No. Fuck this. You work this fucking hard for this amount of money, you are not paying double. And whilst I would have been paying rent into the mortgage, you'd still be at the same time inconveniencing yourself by paying double your rent and the mortgage. So you still be paying your rent. And you've got all the admin fees coming from the real estate people who are managing that property at the time. So you'd be paying extra fees. So it's a hassle. And I don't even know what my mortgage people would have said about why did you buy a property that's still being tenanted out. It's like, you said you wanted to live in it. It's like, yeah, but it's like, it's a lot of hassle. So my gut feeling went, something's wrong with this one. So I was happy with that divine intervention. I could handle not another doubled up bill. And my position isn't that bad right now. The rent sucks, but the rent sucks for everyone in general right now. So I'm not in a rush to buy a property because, I'm under thumb or under the pump. It's not that bad a situation. My money doesn't go anywhere if I don't invest in something right now. And I you trust in the universe. Something will come up when it's appropriately timed. So I just gotta wait. It's patience. It's teaching me patience and gratitude. And it's gratitude in being in a situation where I have what I need and I'm not needing to rush. I'm very well protected. I've got a roof on my head. I'm all good like that way. It's my patience and my ego saying this has to happen now. It's like, this doesn't have to happen. You're fine. You're not losing anything by not making it happen right now. So that's what I got to deal with. It's cool, man. I just got to chill. It's like, well, that's the problem. I got to learn patience because I have no patience. I want it done now. So that's my lesson in this. But my gut feeling, it really worked out for me there because, in time I'll find the perfect situation where it's perfect for me to buy whatever property I need. In the right conditions. I won't have to worry about extra paperwork or extra money being spent, or it'll work out. The stars have to align, the ducks have to get in a row. It also helps us prevent us from getting hurt further as well. Like your gut intuition, like when I divorced my ex-husband, I knew, my gut intuition told me I couldn't survive staying with him and having him in an open marriage. I'm not designed that way in any way. I know that from the get-go. I'm not that way inclined. It feels disgusting to me, the idea of that. It feels unclean. So I'm sitting there thinking, could I live in a state of uncleanliness for the rest of however long until he gets bored enough to leave me for someone? My gut feeling told me no. It doesn't feel right to me. And I'm glad I followed that one as well, because I can't imagine a situation where I would be okay with someone being brought home and then just toddling off to the bedroom together, and I'm sitting there on the couch like, I'll just keep watching my pictures then. It'll be fine, you're banging my husband, that's okay. That's not okay. So my gut feeling kicked in there as well, and I benefited significantly from it. There was a glitch post-divorce where I met someone else. But generally after that fucker fucked off, things got very much better, gut feeling wise. So you got to really start, your gut feeling is telling you something's off. And the more you brush it under the rug, and ignore it, the more you're going to be sitting there possibly exposing yourself to more damaging things than you need to. Having said that, as an overthinker, you can overthink what your gut feeling is. Like when people get the Tower card or the Devil card in their tarot, I'm an overthinker. I'm looking at all the different aspects this could mean, and I look at the different sequences I'm seeing in the rest of the arrays. I want the clarifiers to understand what's going on for this person. Now my general reads, they are general, they could be anyone. I never really apply them into anyone, I don't think, not with anyone in mind. So when I got a Tower in there, it could be anything ranging from someone stubs their toe to someone outright dies. So you take everything with a grain of salt. It depends on the other cards that turn up. My intuition tells me, and I do listen to my gut feeling and energies about this particular card in the deck that turns up, whether it's upright or reverse. I do listen to whether it's going to fit in with other things and what kind of story makes sense. And it's basically a feel thing for me. Some people might get stories in their heads. I'm listening to the feeling associated with it. I'm going, I've felt this before. This is someone's feeling, they're going through it too. This energy feels this way. It's hard to explain really. But you can piece the story together from the events which occur in the cards. And you get a feeling for each card. And then you get a feeling attached to each card, and it forms like a woven network. And you go, right, story. There's two ways of doing tarots. You can either flick the cards, which comes out by chance, which is the spirit picking out the cards, or you can energetically feel them by doing the whole, literally feeling each card as you wave your hand over it. I used to do the feeling one. Now I just do the flicking one because it's quicker. It's like, you tell me. I got shit to do. You tell me. I do both. Depends on how the depth of reading I need. Oh my god, please look after your kid. Fucking parent. Toddlers do not belong on bikes near roads. Toddlers, man. Watch your kid. There's another one. Jesus Christ. There's another one. What is this? But you get a general gut feeling for the situation, your intuition, what they're trying to tell you is in the ether, and all it is ether reading. Listening to, not the voices in your head, I don't hear voices in my head, but I get a feel for things. Same as when you can walk into a room, you get a feel for the room, you go, yeah. You can point out the little bastards in the room. You're like, I know you. You know, it's strange feelings. Why, you know, I find certain situations. You ever look at someone, like in the street, could be any random, they'll give you a look and you'll go, something wrong with this one. Or they'll sort of wander near you and you just don't feel right. You feel unsettled. Yeah, like something, there's an intent there. You can feel the intent. Women have it more than men, probably because we've lived in a situation where we're in danger quite a bit more. I don't know. Is this a bear or the man situation? Could be. But we've got this called women's intuition, and we're more open to preserving our safety. Guys are a bit more gung-ho when it comes to a few things, because they can get away with it. Sadly. But, you know, it's following your intuition often keeps you safe. It keeps you from making bad mistakes. It's, you know, you just got to listen to it a bit more, honestly. But don't overthink it. That's the problem. A lot of people overthink it and they think, I've thought of all the different possibilities where this could go wrong. I'm just not even going to attempt. So there is a risk to following your gut feeling. But the reward is often a case of, this felt right at the time. And you've got to think back and reevaluate the situation. If you're going on a gut feeling, you should also look for evidence that is the right decision to do. Is you triangulate that stuff. You don't just go on a whim. There's no point going on a whim because you'll just get in trouble. It'll be unplanned. You won't have any idea of the consequences that could happen. Even if you overthought it, there's a realistic sense to what could happen that you need to address. if you're overthinking, there's a chance you'll talk yourself out of it, which is also not great. How many people have talked themselves out of a better job because they thought they weren't qualified for it? I've done that a few times. I was sitting there thinking, well, there's a position going. I could just lie. I could just fib and say, I know all this stuff, and just learn on the job, which is a chance you could do it. But my gut feeling would say, we're going to get caught out at some point if we don't have the credentials or experience. You should probably try and either work up towards it as a goal, or just don't lie. People are going to find out at some point. Yeah, your gut feeling is important. It's an instinct thing as well. It's partially a survival instinct. It's based on your survival instinct as well. If you know something is wrong, you're probably not going to do it. If you know something's dangerous, you're probably not going to do it. It's based off that primal kind of, I need to survive. So, it also created common sense at some stage, but people now are ignoring, which I find infuriating. The cushiness of reality as it is in particularly first world westernized culture. People are so used to the softness of convenience. They're ignoring their survival instincts and their gut instincts. And just half-assing it. You're sitting there thinking, this will not bode well if we have to retract back to survival level situations. You know this, right? It's like people lost their fucking mind when we went into lockdowns because they couldn't get toilet paper. They couldn't adapt. They lost their fucking minds and they're like hoarding it and being vicious about going and shopping. I was watching stuff on YouTube about toilet paper fights in shops where people were hacking into each other about this fucking rolls of toilet paper. I'm sitting there going, this is one item. What if it went full apocalyptic and you're sitting there losing your shit? It's like, what the fuck? It's Mad Maxing over toilet paper. It's insane. It's like we're too used to convenience that when chaos happens, they can't fucking adapt. It's just like, I'm losing it. There are ways and means to get toilet paper, by the way, I found out. So if you're going to be smart, find a smart person that knows how to do things. And make sure that your ass is never disgusting again. Oh my god. How are we going to survive as a species? I don't know. The smart ones that are resourceful, that know how to get shit, will find a way. Just like Jeff Goldblum said. She finds a way. I love that movie. Dinosaurs. Big pile of shit. Observant. Follow your intuition. Okay. Take an educated risk. If you're going to follow your intuition, make sure it's an educated risk. Don't just negate your gut feeling or intuition because you're afraid of what could happen. If you want something to happen, if you have a feeling that something could happen that's a positive thing, then of course, if it's constructive, go for it. But look for the backup and the situation and resources that are available to make this situation happen. Don't just say, throw myself in and it'll work. That's when it comes to employment, relationships, anything that's constructive and positive for building a life. If it's destructive and negative, if you assume that your spouse is cheating, look for evidence. There's no smoke without fire. Look for evidence. If they get shitty about looking in their phone, fuck them. It's like, there's a reasonable cause at that point. If you have a gut feeling that something's off and you want to look in their phone, whether you love them or not and you need backup, they should be supporting you in that, because clearly you're insecure about something. It needs to be addressed. If showing them messages in your phone is addressing the problem and will save the relationship, then that should be fine. That's one example. Getting defensive about your fucking phone and locking it and saying it's a violation of my privacy that you're looking at my messages is only reinforcing this lack of trust in the situation. It's reinforcing the gut feeling that something's wrong. And it's separating two people from contributing to forwarding the relationship, to be honest, because one person's pulling back and saying, no, you can't know these intimate details about me. If this person was being authentic about their actions and taking ownership of their actions, if they are cheating on the phone even, they should be able to own their actions. And they should be fine with that spouse finding out and then making an educated decision about how to travel forward with this experience. Should they leave? That's fine. Should they stay to try again? That's fine. I don't think it's fine, but yeah, that's not me. But as an adult, this other person who's got these messages or whatever on their phone should take accountability for their actions. Otherwise, they're just running around and running away and being a coward. You don't want one of those. If they're going to be a coward, fuck them off, because it will turn into something worse later on. They'll be a coward about something else, and it'll be even worse or more important, and it'll fuck you up long term. That's the way I see it. There is an element where people keep saying, you got to forgive your partner. I'm sitting there going, how many times do you forgive them before they shit on you completely and fuck up your life? That's when your gut feeling comes into play. You got to draw that line. Personally, my standards have picked up so high that I will not tolerate that shit at all. If you got a lock on your phone, I don't want to fucking know you. It's like, it sets it up for a fall. If you have a lock on your phone, this is just one particular example. If you have a lock on your phone but your partner doesn't know it, that shows me that there's some shit going on, where they don't trust their partner, or there's a reason they don't trust their partner. And usually it's because they're doing some shit on their phone that their partner is not allowed to know about. Now, if you're in a relationship, it's a co-leadership thing. You need to know what's going on with the other person so you can work together. It's an alliance, a coalition maybe. You've got to be aware of what's going on. You've got to know what you're buying into. If your gut feeling tells you there's something wrong, like when I got evicted because my ex-boyfriend didn't want to tell me that we were getting evicted, because he's being a little bitch. But you know, again, that's another reason why you shouldn't be forming alliances with these kinds of people, because they're untrustworthy, they're unreliable, they're irresponsible. They want to hoard information in order to control you. So it's like, what do? You follow your gut instinct. You consider the situation that I even had to call this into question, and you say, you're probably not worth my time. Bounce. It's like, if you won't let me in on the intel, I'm out. It's like, I don't trust you. Bye. You know, there's only so much you can go further. I mean, I can't imagine living in a relationship where you've just got no concept of what the other person's doing. It's not a team effort then, is it? It's a one person doing their own fucking thing and benefiting from what you're willing to give them. It's insane. It's not stable at all. It's very much carried on one side. And, you know, you could be getting fucked over and not even know it. It's that lack of intimacy as well. If this is a person you're trying to spend the rest of your life with, they should be open to discussing all kinds of things with you. It's called intimacy. You're supposed to develop trust through intimacy and knowing everything about that other person so you can work together and bolster up their weaknesses while they bolster up yours. You know, it's propping each other up and getting on with the project and working together. But these fuckers are like, no, I'm keeping a lock on my phone. And you're like, fuck off. I don't have time for this shit. You immature, infantile prick. Don't have time for your secrecy. Unless you're James Bond, fuck off. These are not state secrets. This is you dicking someone else. You know? We're not Julian Assanging this. You egocentric prick. No, what it is them being a coward, that they don't want to be caught cheating, and they'll play this offensive, I'm the victim here because you want to invade my privacy bullshit. You're like, no. Anyway, that's one particular niche. I could go on for hours about that. It's hilarious. I hope you have a fantastic Tuesday. I am really flued up. I'm not taking medication for this as well, so we're winging it. I kind of outgrew medication at this point since COVID lockdown. So when you couldn't find it, you just get used to not using it. So it's like, all right, I'll be right. Have a fantastic Tuesday, and I hope you guys follow your gut feeling, man. I mean, it's a gift from the divine. It's given to you for a reason. If it doesn't feel right, look into why it doesn't feel right. Don't let it play on your insecurities, because there's obviously a reason you have these insecurities, or most always to do with internal alignment and morality. Don't let people guilt trip you into doing things that you don't want to do and ignoring your gut feeling. Because you're supposed to belong to some kind of a group or associate with some other person who just values other things to you. If it doesn't feel right with you on the internal, then it's not going to be reflected well on the outside. The internal and the external need to align if you're going to reach for authenticity and, you know, just general mental health, for example. You know, it's you're going to feel like shit sitting in the circumstances that don't align with your intuition or gut feeling. Have a good one, and I'm going to chat to you hopefully tomorrow, and hopefully I'll be less fluey. See ya.